Latest report of Manipur conflict. Welcome to Zalingam Media, and thank you for joining us once again. In today's in-depth report, we explore one of the most politically charged and legally complex stories still unfolding in the region, the leaked audio controversy surrounding former Manipur Chief Minister N. Bayan Singh, and how the ongoing investigations have intertwined with the resurgence of banned armed groups like the United National Liberation Front, Unlf, the Kangleipak Communist Party, KCP, and the continued influence of Arambai Tengal. While these stories may seem distinct, together they form a picture of a state struggling to reconcile its governance, security, and identity amid years of distrust and conflict. The controversy over the leaked recordings, now widely known as the Manipur tapes, first broke out in June 2024 when multiple audio clips surfaced online. These recordings allegedly captured private conversations involving the then Chief Minister N. Bayan Singh, who appeared to discuss sensitive operations linked to the ethnic violence that began in May 2023. The contents of those clips, if proven authentic, could have enormous implications. They suggest high-level complicity in escalating hostilities that led to widespread loss of life and displacement. The immediate aftermath saw widespread outrage among civil rights groups, community organizations, and legal activists, all calling for an independent forensic investigation and a court-monitored inquiry. By early 2025, the recordings had been subjected to a private forensic test by Truth Labs, one of India's recognized private forensic institutions. Their findings, submitted to the petitioners and later referenced in the Supreme Court, claimed with a 93% probability that the voice in the recordings matched that of Bayan Singh. This revelation intensified public demand for accountability. The former Chief Minister's office, however, dismissed the audio as fabricated and politically motivated, insisting that his resignation in February 2025 was unrelated to the recordings, but instead a matter of moral responsibility amid turmoil. The Supreme Court, responding to a petition filed under Writ Petition, Civil, number 702 of 2024, directed the Central Forensic Science Laboratory, CFSL, to conduct an independent examination of the audio samples. Yet, what followed was a protracted legal and technical dispute over the scope of that forensic process. By August 2025, nearly a year after the leak, the Supreme Court expressed sharp disapproval of the CFSL's handling of the analysis. A bench comprising Justices Sanjay Kumar and Satish Chandra Sharma told the Additional Solicitor General that the CFSL appeared to have misunderstood the court's order. Instead of performing a straightforward voice sample comparison, matching Bayan Singh's known voice with the disputed audio, the laboratory had produced a report about the overall authenticity of the video and its background. Justice Kumar remarked that the CFSL's actions had gone beyond the purpose of verification and delayed a matter that carried national significance. The court's frustration was evident when it asked, "We had not asked about authenticity of the video. What we asked for is the testing of the voice sample." The bench went on to clarify that such an approach undermines judicial timelines and obstructs truth-finding in a case already charged with communal sensitivity. Adding to the courtroom drama was a rejected plea by the former Chief Minister's daughter, who had sought to join the proceedings in her personal capacity, arguing that her father's reputation was at stake. The Supreme Court declined the request, stating that it was not a family support program, but a matter of legal accountability. Public reaction to these developments was intense. Civil society organizations, particularly the Committee on Tribal Unity, KOTU based in Kangpokpi district, publicly accused the former Chief Minister of directly inciting hatred through the statements heard in the leaked clips. KOTU leaders stated that the leak was not simply political gossip, but clear evidence of prejudice and administrative bias against certain communities during the height of violence. They cited the Truth Labs report and demanded swift action, saying, "Justice delayed is justice denied." The leaked tapes contain the voice of authority, fueling the conflict that tore our state apart. In another statement issued in late August 2025, KOTU reiterated that the rule of law must prevail and warned against institutional silence. Their words reflected growing frustration over what appeared to be bureaucratic inertia. Despite repeated judicial reminders, the CFSL's final verified report remains sealed and unpublished as of October 2025, prolonging speculation and mistrust. prolonged uncertainty has created multiple political undercurrents. Sources from the Economic Times recently reported that Bayan Singh has been holding quiet consultations with several BJP legislators and Central Party intermediaries, reportedly exploring ways to restructure leadership in the state. While there has been no official confirmation of his return to politics, such meetings have added to the perception that he retains influence despite the ongoing legal cloud. Meanwhile, the security environment in the state continues to deteriorate, with insurgent movements intensifying operations in rural and border areas. This raises critical questions about governance, stability, and the credibility of ongoing peace dialogues. The United National Liberation Front, UNLF, one of the oldest insurgent groups from the region, remains under pressure from both state and central agencies. In several coordinated operations during September and October 2025, security forces arrested 8 individuals suspected of being active UNLF operatives, recovering automatic rifles, ammunition, and communication devices. Reports from the Economic Times and Business Standard confirm that these operations were conducted jointly by the Assam Rifles and state police under Operation Valley Shield. At the same time, the government's peace outreach has not stopped. Talks between representatives of the UNLF's political wing and the Ministry of Home Affairs have quietly progressed in Imphal and New Delhi. Government sources indicate that while some UNLF factions have signalled readiness for political dialogue, others remain sceptical, demanding an unconditional release of detained cadres as a confidence-building measure. Security analysts interpret this dual approach, peace talks on one hand and strong counterinsurgency operations on the other, as a deliberate attempt by the government to divide militant ranks and contain insurgency through selective accommodation. The Kangleipak Communist Party, KCP, has also remained active. In October 2025, the Manipur Police and Central Forces captured a senior KCP, Tabangamba faction, cadre in Thoubal district. According to official statements, the arrest prevented a planned extortion drive and disrupted the group's local fundraising network. Multiple arrests in earlier months show that KCP factions still maintain significant underground structures, including arms caches and sleeper cells. The Business Standard reported that several rifles and high-caliber ammunition were recovered from suspected KCP hideouts in the past month, indicating the group's attempt to regroup. Experts point out that the persistence of KCP reflects the state's continued ideological diversity in insurgency. While the UNLF espouses separatist nationalism, KCP blends leftist revolutionary ideas with local ethnic grievances, making it harder to neutralize through simple military operations. Both groups have adapted over decades, shifting from large-scale attacks to more covert, urban-oriented operations, targeted killings, ambushes, and information warfare. Yet, one of the most socially divisive forces currently shaping Manipur's atmosphere is Arambai Tengal, a Meetei-centric vigilante organization that has drawn both support and condemnation. In early October 2025, Arambai Tengal publicly reaffirmed its cooperation with the state's ongoing crackdown on illegal immigration, particularly in the border zones adjoining Myanmar. The organization announced through its leadership that it stands ready to support state authorities in protecting indigenous rights, culture, and demographic stability. This declaration was welcomed by certain valley-based political sections, but criticized by human rights observers who warned that empowering such non-state entities risks deepening communal fault lines. Nonetheless, Arambai Tengal has positioned itself as a protector of the land, often organizing patrols, social campaigns, and cultural revival drives. In one of its latest statements covered by Imphal Times, the group asserted that it would monitor border movements to prevent the illegal influx of outsiders who threaten local identity. However, the group's actions have not been without controversy. In September 2025, 2 of its members were arrested by Manipur police for possession of foreign-made weapons, including M4A1 carbines and HK-33 rifles, triggering debates about whether elements within the organization may be stockpiling arms under the guise of community defense. The arrests were followed by short-lived street protests and internet restrictions in certain valley districts, as reported by the Economic Times. Even with these contradictions, the government has refrained from formally banning Arambai Tengal, citing its cultural rather than armed classification, though surveillance on its activities has been tightened. Analysts describe this ambivalence as politically motivated, noting that the organization commands significant influence among youth, particularly within the valley-based Meetei population. While all these developments unfold, the judiciary continues to play the central role in defining accountability in the post-conflict environment. The Supreme Court's handling of the Arambai Singh case could set a precedent for how political leaders are held responsible for administrative failures or complicity in ethnic violence. If the CFSL report eventually confirms the private forensic findings, the implications could be far-reaching, potentially leading to criminal proceedings and a re-evaluation of the state's political structure. On the other hand, if the voice comparison yields inconclusive or negative results, it could reinforce suspicions of political manipulation by rival factions. As of October 2025, no definitive report has been made public. The court has set another hearing date for November 2025, at which both the CFSL and state government are expected to produce progress updates. Observers believe that this hearing could mark a turning point. Either the court will order a new independent forensic agency to reassess the samples or compel the Union Home Ministry to release interim findings. Meanwhile, the humanitarian situation in parts of the state remains fragile. Thousands remain displaced from earlier clashes, and rehabilitation efforts continue to be slow. The absence of clear leadership following Bayan Singh's resignation has left a power vacuum, with interim administrators struggling to balance governance and security. International attention has also begun to focus again on the region. Human rights organizations have submitted reports to the United Nations and the European Parliament, citing evidence of excessive force, targeted attacks, and administrative negligence. The audio leak has been referenced in some of these reports as a potential indicator of institutional breakdown. Yet within the state, opinions remain sharply divided. Many still view Bayan Singh as a strong leader who tried to maintain order during unprecedented unrest. Others see him as emblematic of a governance culture that blurred the line between state policy and ethnic politics. This polarization continues to define Manipur's political discourse, making reconciliation difficult. In conclusion, the leaked audio case stands today as both a legal battle and a symbol of the deeper trust crisis that has engulfed the state. While the Supreme Court's insistence on voice sample testing signals a commitment to due process, the continued delay in releasing findings prolongs uncertainty. At the same time, the persistence of armed groups like Unlf and KCP, combined with the vigilantism of Arambai Tengol, underscores that peace remains fragile. Unless the judiciary, government, and civil society together ensure transparency and fairness, the underlying tensions that fueled the 2023 conflict will persist well beyond 2025. The next few months are expected to be decisive. The Supreme Court's November hearing, combined with ongoing security operations and political recalibrations, will determine whether the state moves toward genuine reconciliation or slides further into fragmentation. As the story evolves, Zeilingam Media will continue to monitor developments closely, ensuring that every aspect of truth, forensic, political, and moral, is brought to light. Sources consulted: The Economic Times, October 2025, NDTV, August 2025, Indian Express, August 2025, Hindustan Times, September-October 2025, Ukral Times, August 2025, Imphal Times, October 2025, Business Standard, October 2025, Wikipedia Manipur Tapes, updated 2025. Disclaimer: Zeilingam Media. This analysis is based on publicly available information from verified national and regional news outlets as of October 2025. Zeilingam Media does not endorse any political group or narrative. The purpose of this publication is solely to present factual, balanced reporting and interpret ongoing events with journalistic responsibility. All interpretations and conclusions are offered in good faith for public awareness and educational discussion,